Hey Rob, when you have 100 nickel boxes hunted and if the book's not complete, are you going to continue the series? Yes. Hey Rob, once you hit 100 boxes, do you think you could start a second nickel book? Yes. Hey everyone, it's Rob with RobFindsTreasure and welcome back to my channel. As many of you know, we've been trying to fill this Jefferson Nickel album through just coin roll hunting, and in my last video, we completed the 100th box. Now, if you're not caught up on the series, I have a playlist to link both down below as well as pinned up here. I urge you to check that out first before seeing where we're at on the book. For those of you caught up, you know we've been hard stuck on the final nickel, the 1950D key date nickel, and I said that after 100 boxes, I would evaluate the series to see what to do next. Through a lot of comments, I decided that I would not only continue the hunt for the 50D for this book, but also in conjunction with it, since we're at 100 boxes hunted, it's easy to keep track of the number of boxes for book 2, I'd start a second album. Now, this book is only 1938 to 1963. I have the other book and hopefully be able to give you a good look at both books once we get to that point. In the meantime, I've got a 2-box hunt. Both of these are from the DFW area. I've popped the tops. We have no enders on the top side of this. And I looked at the first couple of rolls on the top of this box. Nothing fancy schmancy, but 100 rolls to hunt. I'm going to slide the books out of the way. We're going to get this hunt started. This intro is long enough. We're going to be hunting this box first, and I will keep all the finds. And after comparing them to book 1, we'll then slot them into book 2 for the ones we need as far as the best examples. I'll see you guys if and when we have a first find in box 101 of the series. We're on roll number 6 of box 1, and I have finally found a bucket lister in my nickel boxes. We'll get to that in a second, but I decided to go ahead and see what happens if I just slot every single coin that I could from 64 to 98. And take a look at this. I have been filling this book up with the best of the ones, and every time I find one, I put it down, and if it's good enough, I slot it in. If it's not, I leave it up. And when I find the next one, I slot in if it's better. That's what I've been doing, and that's how far we've already gotten from 1964 to 1998. They're easy to find as far as the modern nickels. But I bring you in because on my mat, one of the ones I've been looking for forever is the 2004 piece metal DDO. I very rarely see 2004 fillies in my area, maybe 10 to 15 at most in a box. And when you're only looking at 10 or 15 coins every box, it's going to take a lot of boxes to find what you're looking for as far as a rare variety. Under the scope, I have a 2004P piece metal nickel, and I have another one because that was the first one I checked, and that's the second one I checked. The second one I checked is, in fact, the DDO. For the untrained eye, and I'll go into detail about this, these O's are a lot thicker than they should be. You have a split serif on the base of the 4, or on the serif of the 4. You have a doubled star right there. And then if I even slide it down to the mint mark, you have a notch and some doubling on the top of the P. You also would have some doubling, but it's hard to see on this coin on the R. So it's extra thick, which it is, slightly on the T. And if I can get the right lighting, you'll be able to see the doubling on the W as well. And I don't know if I can get it, but I've already gotten it before I got the camera out. But you can definitely see that it's a little bit thicker than it should be. And I'll show you the other example in a second. But let's just get back down to the bottom part, because this is one that I've been wanting to show you guys for a long time because I've never found it. You can see the doubling, extra thickness on the zeros, the split serif on the 4, the notch on the P, and the doubled star. I'm going to bring up Variety Vista. And like I said, extra thick zeros, splitting on the 4, the notch on the P down there. You can even see the notch or the splitting on the 2. And I'll bring back up my 2 because you can see it on it as well if I can get the lighting to be just right. There you go. You can see it as well. Now, when I put a regular 2004, and I'm trying to get these both in the exact same view, but now you definitely can see the splitting on the 4, the thickness of the zeros, the 2 being different, and even the star is nice and clean versus extra thick. So, without a doubt, we have found a 2004P piece metal DDO, and it's actually in really decent shape besides a couple of circulation dings on it. I'm going to flip it up. That's the first one I have found. And let me bring up the PCG value guide on that and show you what that nickel can go for in high grades. All right, I've got the PCGS website up, 2004P piece metal DDO FS 101. Now, there's only 18 graded examples of these nickels, and at 63 plus, it's only $54. But at 64, it's $130, and there's only 4 graded at 65 and 1 graded at 66. The Mint State 65 sold on eBay just about 6 or 7 months ago for $185. I think mine's at least a 63, which would put it at $44. But I think they'd probably give me a 64 on it and maybe even a 65. This nickel is really nice other than that circulation ding, but that is a small cry from anything really wrong with it. I'm going to stop touching it. I'm going to flip it up. I think it's at least a $45 coin, could be upwards of 150 or more. And that's not even that big of a deal for the value. I just have always wanted one, and now I have found one, roll 6 of box 1. As far as other finds, we've got a 57 and a 58, both Denver. Nothing as far as in the 40s yet. I'm going to continue to work on this album through the rolls. I'll bring in with a 40s find, or if I finish this book before I find a 40s, I'll let you know that as well. Unbelievable. I forgot to mention, you're probably wondering why this book's a mess. Well, it was 1964 to date. It only had 68S in there, and somebody wrote in the book, and they wrote it incorrectly. They forgot the S mints early on. So I had to rewrite everything according to what I wanted to put in here because there were San Francisco minted non-proof coins, obviously. And so I had to fix the writing in the book, and that's why it's pretty beat up. But still a book, still going to add to it. Just wanted to point that out in case you're like, what the heck is going on with that book? All right, I'm excited. Back to the hunt. So we're on roll number 18, and I'm continuing to fill the book up. It's pretty basic so far because most of these are common. I've got some pretty ugly ones that I've got where they would go, but obviously I'm waiting for better ones to fill them in. That being said, we have our first find other than something in the 50s, and it's a 1939. Pretty slick, probably not a key date, but we'll check for a mint mark. And there is no mint mark. Not a DRNS, but we'll put it under the scope to check for any of the doubling you'd see on 5 cents and Monticello, and you'd quickly see them on the E's in 5 cents had it been a DDR. It is not. It is a Philadelphia mint, but we'll take a 1939 Philadelphia all day and get back to the hunt and hopefully complete the second book. That way I can focus mostly on the 50s and back. Roll number 19. Our second nickel pre-50s, and this one's going to be a 1947 San Francisco. We'll take that. Roll number 26, another 40s find. This one's going to be a 1948S, and a 48S is a semi-key date. Not worth much more than face value in this condition, but we'll definitely take it. Another find for book 2, and we're getting close to completing the 64 through moderns. Roll number 30, another 40s find, and it's actually a pretty nice 1941 Philadelphia. Roll 41, and we've got another 1939 nickel. Pretty slick. 39 Philly. Any doubling? We do not have the DDR. And it is confirmed, 39p, second of the box. Roll 35, and we have our first potential war nickel in the roll. And this one's going to be a 1943 war nickel, minted in Philadelphia. So we'll go ahead and check it for that 3/2, which I don't see, and the double die, which is always tough to see when they're worn. I don't see it, but that is a silver war nickel that we have found, and it's the first of the box. Now can we find more? Well, box 1 is hunted. It was kind of a slow box for total finds. We got 11 in the 50s, but we did get a 51D and a couple of 52s. We got 4 from the 40s, but one was a silver war nickel, and 2 from the 30s, both 39 Phillies. I've also pulled aside a couple of nicer 60s that might be able to use in the other book, but we have another box to go through, and 1 Canadian. And I forgot. I don't know how I did. We've got a 2004 piece metal nickel, DDO. If you're wondering how we did in the 1964 through 1998 nickel book, we actually almost completed it. We only needed, oops, one of them was loose. That was the 73. See, I was going through the finds, and as I had ugly ones like this 86D, I was pulling them out and reslotting them, and I did it a couple of times, and I got to be careful not to do it too many more times. But at the end of the day, most of the ones I have slotted are pretty nice, and they're modern nickels, so it doesn't matter whether it's an MS65 or even an AU58. The value is very minimal as far as the difference. We didn't find a 69p, a 70p, or a 68p, though, in that entire box. Not anything to even slot in there, ugly or otherwise. For those of you who may have caught this, there were no nickels minted at the Philadelphia Mint in 1968, 69, or 70. For some reason, in my excitement for this hunt, I just spaced it. Plus, the slots were already labeled as such, so I wasn't paying full attention. Either way, pretty good start for the second set of books. Obviously, we'll use the best finds here to upgrade album 1, and if can't use them, we'll go ahead and start the second album 1 with them. Another box to go. Let me clear away the discards. We'll get the hunting on that one, and I'll bring you in with my first find if and when we have one. Roll 51 of the second box of the hunt, and we're off to an early start. Halfway through the roll, we've got a pretty nice 1940 San Francisco to get us on the board. Roll 53, and we may have another war nickel. Let's hope it is. It has the silver war nickel edge. And it is, and it's a Denver. That'd be nice if it's the 43D, because that's one of my nemesises. But it's a 45D. Either way, we'll take it. Second silver war nickel found of the hunt. Roll 56, another 40s find. 1940, San Francisco again. Roll 58, we've got a 1946, San Francisco. Well, roll 61, and I missed it by the edge, and I do that sometimes, but we have a war nickel because I saw the date, and you can see why I missed it. It wasn't as green, but on the obverse, it is. Another 1945, this time Philadelphia, silver war nickel. That's 3 for the hunt through 61 rolls. Well, roll 71 is going to give us 4 cents short because I think we have a penny in the roll. And we do. Is it at least copper? It is. 1978D. Only lost a few cents now. Roll 72. Another 1940. Philly. Roll 73. We've got a 1947 nickel from Philadelphia as well. Roll number 75, and we have our second nickel from 1941. And this one's Philadelphia. Roll number 77, and I saw this one by the edge, so I figured I'd expose it. Take a look at that. San Francisco minted, 1944. We now have 4 silver war nickels through 77 rolls. Roll number 80, we've got our third nickel from 1939. Kind of slick, but decent detail. But just the 39 Philly. Any doubling? There is not. Third nickel from 1939, all Philly. We're on roll 85, and I think we're going to have our 5th war nickel because that edge right there looks really promising. And we do, and it's another Denver. But it's another 45 Denver. We'll take it though. 5 war nickels, 85 rolls. We're on roll number 88, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to film it because I've seen a lot of war nickels in this box. This is looking really war nickel-y as well. I mean, it could just be a darkened one, like a metal detector find, but if this is another war nickel, it's number 6 of the hunt. And it is. I wasn't sure because I couldn't see the D, but now I see the D. And it's a 43D. These are very tough to find with just over 15 million minted. We've been asking for it this whole hunt, and we got it. If that's how easy that is, then I need a 50D to finish Series 1. Let's keep looking. Roll 89, and the finds keep on coming because we've got another 40s Jefferson Nickel, 1 year off silver, 1946, Philly. We're on roll number 93, and I could be setting a new record for silver war nickels in a 2-box hunt because this might be number 7 right here. And it is, and it's another Denver. And it's another 1945 Denver to boot. What you're about to witness in the next several rolls, I don't think will ever be repeated in a bank box. Roll number 95, and say hello to my little friend. Looks like we've got another penny in the roll, if I can get it out one-handed. So we're going to have all these war nickels and a couple of pennies, and yet again, another copper cent at least. We'll take it. Well, in the box of firsts and the hunt of firsts, we're on roll 96, and this is going to be back-to-back rolls with a cent in it and the 3rd of the hunt. What is going on? This time, not so fortunate. Zinc cent. We'll still take it, though. I am not even kidding. Roll 97. Another penny. All the profit we're making on those war nickels, who are losing in pennies pretty quickly. Unbelievable. Maybe I should just start opening them live because roll number 98, another penny. What is going on with the wrapping service? Holy cow. Times are that tough, I guess. Another zinc cent. That's now a new record, 5 pennies to go along with the new record, 7 silvers. And we still have 2 rolls, probably more pennies. I have to laugh because roll 99, I tried to open so I would just see a little window, and I did. And there's yet another penny in that window. This is ridiculous. I have never seen this in my life. What do we got here? Another zinc cent. 6 pennies. They might catch the war nickels. We've got another roll to look through after this one. Well, to add insult to injury, after I extracted the cent, I didn't look at the rest of the enders and flatten the roll out. These fell out the side, and take a look right there. To not be outdone, we've got our 8th war nickel, a 1943 Philadelphia, which I'll check for the 3/2 or the double die, and I don't see the markers. Unbelievable. 8 war nickels to 6 pennies now. Well, we have finished the second box of this hunt. Nothing was in that last roll. No pennies, no war nickels, nothing like that. 102 total boxes now hunted for the first series and 2 boxes for the second series. I'm going to go ahead and compare the finds to the first series album, although I don't think we have any upgrades and we know we didn't find the 50D. After I do that, I'll then compare all the finds for the second album and slot the best examples of all of the years I have. And I will say that I failed to pull out just some uglier 60 through 63s. So I pulled out the best ones that I remember to pull out towards the end of the box because I started to forget about those, and we'll slot the ones we have. For the total amount of finds, we had 20 in the 50s, 18 in the 40s because we had 8 war nickels. We had 3 Canadians, 3 from the 30s, 6 cents in that box, or at least in the 2-box hunt. And for the 8 war nickels, 3 for 43, 1 for 44, and 4 for 45. New record here, and definitely the find of the boxes. Man, 2004P DDO. I've searched 700, 800 plus boxes, never have found one, and now we have one, and it's in great shape to boot, and that makes me happy. Let me compare the albums. I'll be back with some book wrap-ups and some final thoughts. All right, let me first and foremost kick off this wrap-up for this odd hunt with a laugher, if you will. For some reason, this book had the 68P printed, and whoever labeled it all the way to 1971 here and kept going. I wrote over their stuff, and I didn't even consider it, but I don't know how I forgot this, but I just did. There is no 1968P, 69P, or 70P. The Philadelphia Mint did not mint coins those years. I knew that, but for some reason I forgot it, and I think it's just because I assumed the book was right because it was labeled a long time ago, and even though I wrote over and hardened some of the writing and changed some of the dates to include the S mints that were not included, I just blew it overall and didn't catch it because even the book assumed there would be a 1968 Philly. So, now that I've covered that, these 3 spots, I am not going to worry about redating everything back and removing these 2 and adding the 99s like the other book. So, these books typically hold 140 spots, but the first spot's a reverse, which now makes it 139, and these 3 are not real spots, which makes it 136. In my other book, there's 140 spots, but only the first spot for the reverse and the very last spot of the book are not used as far as for years because that is just how that book was set up. So it has 138 spots. So 138 spots in this one, and now because of that, 136 spots in this one. Series 1 is now completed 102 boxes, and we have 137 of the 138 spots filled. We only need the 50D. Series 2, with just 2 boxes done, has 97 out of the 136 spots in these books. Like I said, my mistake. Can't believe I didn't catch that. That threw me off. Either way, we have completed, technically, the second album of Series 2 and have a really good start to the first album of Series 2, especially in the war nickel years. 5 of them were different dates and mints, so 5 war nickels already slotted. Can't get mad at that. Really good start on the second books. Sorry about my mistake there. It happens. That was a fun, odd, and entertaining 2-box hunt for myself. We got a bucket lister, we got my record war nickels, and we got all those pennies towards the end of the second box. Crazy. Hopefully, despite the length of this video, and I know it's going to be long, you still enjoyed this 2-box nickel hunt. If you did, I'd appreciate that thumbs up, dirty as it may be. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, and thanks for watching. Now, I know 2021 Silver Jar, you're still mad at me for not giving you that 1951 25 silver centavos that we found in that nickel hunt. I'm hoping a huge feast of war nickels makes you happy. Yes, we're friends again.